I met a gypsy.
In your mind, like if you can transport your mind back to 03, and what was your take on four strokes and like what would happen in the industry when it came to like that whole deal?
I remember that we were able to get our carburetor really good, and that when that happened, it was like that. It was kind of funny. I remember specifically somebody saying, "Hey, maybe in the future there'll be two-stroke nationals," and everybody kind of laughing. And it was like not that many years after that there was like
gone.
two-stroke, yeah. And now there's like two-stroke revival or whatever, and like there's all people still doing it. But the one thing that I kind of take away from end of 03 was Ricky riding a 450 in Supercross, and it was always kind of like that. I think everybody kind of felt the same way, that it was like, yeah, outdoors 450 is okay, but Supercross, no way. It's just too heavy and too big and all this and blah, blah, blah. And then Ricky, we were struggling a lot with that 02 CR250, 03, 04.
Oh, once it went to the power valve.
Yeah, once it went to case read versus a cylinder intake, for the intake, it was it just didn't have any torque.
So that was more of a big deal than the power valve, you think, like the actual read?
Yeah,
okay.
For sure. Yeah, because the read, the different power valve, we could have probably got away. I mean, it wasn't like completely different than the power valve that was in before. I mean, it worked similar anyways. But yeah, the case read being so much lower was what gave it so much top power, which outdoors the thing freaking hauled ass. Yeah. But for a Supercross, when they're coming out of corners and trying to do threes out of turns, Yamaha was so good. And the Yamaha was basically our engine from the year before. Like it was exactly like in the chassis. The chassis and everything, I swear, at those years in that like 02, 03 Yamaha was a 96 CR250. I mean, it was, you take that thing and look at, like, you take the plastic off and everything and look at them together. They're the same.
Huh.
It's crazy. So that obviously was hard to compete with especially with a guy like Chad Reed and Villaman or whatever. So Ricky rode that 450 at the Supercross track, and it was K-Dub's bike. Went back. I think he took a couple, or maybe Ramsey's. I can't remember now. But he rode. He's like, hey, let me try that thing. And it was like a month before Anaheim. And he was struggling with the CR, and I think he was pretty pissed because we hadn't made, or Japan hadn't made the improvements either with torque that we wanted. And so he rode that thing, rode a couple laps, just cruising around, and did like the same lap time. And he came in and he's like, yeah, whatever. And we're like, you just did about the same lap time. And I remember him going like, dude, I'm not even trying in the whoops. Like the thing is getting so much more traction. And he's like, I want to race. Like he was like, hey, can I race this? And I remember them at the time, like we don't think it's possible. There's not enough time to order parts. There's this and that. But it was Ricky Carmichael. So they're like, let's see what we can do. And like later that night, they're like, let's build a bike. And then the next day, I think he went and rode it. And then we went to Castillo Ranch, and that's when he popped his knee out. So, or when it's, so that was kind of, and then he went outdoors and won every race on it. So, and I think even to this day, when you if you were to ask him what his favorite bike was, that 04 450 was like his favorite of all time.
Dude, that's so sick. Like as a fan to hear that is so rad, because that to me, like that 04, I mean, I was a Chad Reed fan, obviously. Like I had this Aussie dude to cheer for, and then there was Burner, there was Medi, there was Sharky. Like, so for an Aussie kid, and we couldn't even watch the races live. Like we had to wait, or we'd wait to bar to like watch all the races. But man, like that era of like being a Chad Reed fan, like being an Aussie and having so many guys represented, and then to have Ricky on a 450, on 250 and 450, and then James, like, man, what a crazy, crazy time. And like, man, what could have been if Ricky got to race that 4-stroke indoors. Yeah.
It would have been cool. I mean, well, I guess he ended up getting to see that in like 06 when he was on a Suzuki. But yeah, not really the same. It would have been cool to have him be healthy that year for sure. But But yeah, he was able to make up for it in outdoors. So, and I think that break that he
It
got
probably gave
was
him,
good for him.
Yeah, probably extended his career.
Yeah.
Like imagine if he won, let's say he just wins every Supercross and then
Yeah.
wins every motocross.
Yeah.
Like, dude, he'd probably gone. You know, it's probably just like, that's it. Like, I did good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he was a beast for sure.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.